Imagine you are heading to work. You woke up late for a meeting, but your stomach will not stay quiet. You pull into the nearest drive-thru, slide the window down, and the bag lands in your hand. The paper is warm. One slow peel, one careful bite. Toasted muffin, soft egg, a clean edge of salt and smoke. The cheese settles, not slick, just steady. For a moment, the morning lines up. That is what the right breakfast sandwich can do. Quick, affordable, and calm. No sink full of dishes, no fuss. But the menu boards crowd the eye, and promises can outrun reality. Which sandwich actually tastes good, keeps you steady till noon, and treats your health with respect? Which one leans too hard on salt, arrives cold, or turns a quick stop into a regret? We did the necessary for you. Today we rank 15 national breakfast sandwich brands, from the corner cutters that chip away at trust to the standouts that earn your morning. Stay to the end, because a household favorite slips lower than expected, and a quiet underdog climbs. Before we pull back the curtain, here is how this ranking was built. We looked at 4 things: the quality of the food, the price you pay, the service you get, and the honor each brand shows to its customers. From there, we split the sandwiches into 3 carts. The bad cart, the worst, picks the ones that cut corners and let folks down. The middle ones, the everyday choices, not terrible, not great, just sitting in the middle. The terrific sandwiches, the stars that rise above the ones worth your time and your dollar. If you're ready, let us begin with the most disappointing of them all. Taco Bell. The first name to open our bad cart is Taco Bell. For years, the chain has been known for its low prices, quick service, and playful flavors. It was the late-night stop for young crowds, and when Taco Bell stepped into breakfast, many hoped for the same fun twist to start their day. But the shine faded quickly. Behind the catchy ads, Taco Bell has struggled to make breakfast work. Customer satisfaction surveys place it near the very bottom year after year. Its history includes major recalls, like the massive beef pullback after metal shavings were found. Even the eggs are not what the menu suggests, more of a processed blend than anything fresh. Add in overworked employees rushing orders, and the charm slips away. Now picture yourself as a customer. A busy morning, you swing by for a breakfast crunch wrap. The board makes it look tempting: eggs, sausage, potatoes, all wrapped in a golden tortilla. But what you get feels limp. The first bite is uneven, one corner cold eggs, rubbery, tortilla soft instead of crisp. The cheese clings in a greasy layer, leaving more film than flavor. You chew, stop, glance at the clock, and realize the quick meal you grabbed to save time is turned into regret. To be fair, Taco Bell is still one of the fastest in the drive-thru lane. And for younger fans, its quirky, offbeat menu still has some pull. But speed and novelty cannot rescue a breakfast that should be built on trust and consistency. 14. Jack in the Box. If you're thinking about stopping at Jack in the Box for breakfast, stop and think again. It is not worth it. On paper, Jack in the Box looks tempting. Plenty of options and a history that stretches back decades. But when you peel back the wrapper, the story is far less bright. This chain has carried the shadow of one of the worst food safety disasters in American fast food, the early 90s E. coli outbreak that made hundreds sick and took young lives. For many Americans, that memory never quite faded. Even today, the problems continue. Jack in the Box scores near the bottom in national customer satisfaction surveys. Complaints pile up about wrong orders, sandwiches arriving cold, and customer service that leaves people frustrated rather than fed. Every customer wants a meal they can trust to be hot, simple, and safe, so those are hard to swallow. A breakfast sandwich is supposed to steady your morning, not bring worry about whether the bun will be stale or the food handled with care. Actually, on the other side, Jack in the Box has an edge over Taco Bell. It keeps its menu for a long day, and that flexibility is something many people appreciate. Its variety is a real deal, and the chain is not quite as scattershot about whether breakfast is even served. But those small strengths do not outweigh the deeper issues. Service remains uneven. The food itself often feels rushed, and the history of safety lapses hangs heavy. A brand that still cannot shake its weakest habits cannot be trusted to carry your morning. And when the clock is ticking, there is no reason to waste it here. Jack in the Box may leave you questioning your order, but the next brand will surprise you for another reason. It is one of the most familiar stops in America, yet its breakfast sandwiches carry problems hiding in plain sight. 13. Dunkin'. The final spot in the dark aisle belongs to Dunkin'. On the bright side, it does carry some advantages. The coffee is still a morning staple, the stores are easy to find, and prices can be a little gentler on the wallet than other chains. Compared to the chaos of Taco Bell or the rocky history of Jack in the Box, Dunkin' feels more familiar, even a bit steadier. But there are reasons why its sandwiches sit so low, and they begin long before you take a bite. Too often, the experience falls apart at the counter. Orders are mixed up, the wait drags on, or the bag feels rushed and sloppy. For someone hoping to grab a quick, simple breakfast on the way to work, that slow stumble can throw off the whole morning. And when the food does arrive, the sandwiches rarely live up to the brand's bright coffee reputation. They are built quickly with little care and taste like an afterthought rather than the centerpiece of a meal. One week it is fine, the next week it feels tired and reheated. That lack of consistency is what wears customers down. Even worse, Dunkin' has been touched by supplier recalls in recent years, raising doubts about oversight and safety. For older customers, especially those headlines add weight to every order. So, yes, Dunkin' edges out the bottom too in some ways. But when breakfast sandwiches are treated like second-class items, the result is clear. The brand may keep its place in the coffee lane, but in the breakfast sandwich race, it is stuck at the very back. That wraps up the bad cart. You might be a little worried by now, but take heart, things do get better as we move up to the middle shelf. This is the tier for everyday choices. Not terrible, not amazing, but steady enough to get you through the morning. These sandwiches are the kind you buy because they are close by, familiar, and dependable in a pinch. They may not leave you smiling, but they usually will not leave you angry either. So let's see which brands land here and which ones might still be worth your while. 12. McDonald's. McDonald's used to shake the whole world, but that is not the case anymore. Once upon a time, the Golden Arches stood for speed, consistency, and the famous Egg McMuffin that turned breakfast into a drive-through habit. Families knew what to expect. Workers could count on a quick stop before a shift. That promise made McDonald's the king of mornings. And to be fair, some strengths still remain. McDonald's keeps doors open earlier than most, a lifeline for shift workers and early commuters. The chain's reach is unmatched. You can find an arch glowing on highways in small towns or near hospitals when no other option is close. And with its mobile app, ordering is often smoother than rivals, letting customers skip the line and keep moving. Yet even with those advantages, the cracks are clear. National surveys now place McDonald's dead last in customer satisfaction. Lines drag, orders go missing, and the food itself too often stumbles. A sausage McMuffin may arrive lukewarm, the cheese stiff instead of melted. A McGriddle, once playful, now feels greasy and heavy. These are not the sandwiches that built an empire. So why the slide sheer size is part of the problem. Thousands of locations mean uneven quality. Staffing shortages stretch crews thin, and the pressure to move fast leaves corners cut. Streamlined ingredients chip away at freshness, and a recent recall tied to onion suppliers only deepened doubt. McDonald's still looms large, but not as a leader. It remains a giant yes, but one that no longer defines breakfast. Instead, the arches now sit in the middle cart, always there, but no longer the choice that sets the standard. 11. Burger King. While working on this script, I had just finished a Burger King croissant sandwich with sausage, egg, and cheese. And you know what? Nothing stirred inside me. No spark, no memory, no flavor worth holding on to. It just slipped away. That is why the King, once a bold challenger, now sits quietly on the middle aisle. In fact, Burger King does hold a few strengths. The croissant sandwich has history. It was one of the first big-name breakfast sandwiches in the 80s, and its buttery croissant roll still stands apart from the English muffins at McDonald's. On price, Burger King often wins with combo deals that undercut the arches. And for some folks, that hint of flaky pastry still feels like a treat. And compared with McDonald's, the King does carry an edge. The croissant bun, even when greasy, feels softer and more indulgent than a dry muffin. The sausage has more seasoning, and the overall build tends to feel larger, giving a fuller meal for about the same price. That is enough to lift it above the arches, but not enough to lift it into the terrific tier. Because quality is still the stumbling block. The croissant can sag with oil. The eggs often taste flat, and the bacon sometimes arrives pale, even undercooked. Instead of a warm, flaky bite, you get something heavy and hard to remember. It fills you, yes, but rarely satisfies. And then there is the service. Burger King stores are hit or miss, with long waits one day and careless orders the next. National surveys keep the chain stuck in the lower middle tier, and for customers looking for a steady breakfast routine, that unevenness chips away at trust. So Burger King does not crash to the bottom, but neither does it shine. Its croissant sandwich may have once felt fresh, but today it feels like a meal living off its name. 10. Starbucks. You think only fast food franchises can provide a decent sandwich? Not so. Cafeterias can too. Welcome to Starbucks, the next name in our middle ground. Now do not judge this spot too quickly. The Green Fairy actually delivers more than many expect. Starbucks breakfast sandwiches carry a touch of class compared to the usual drive-thru. The bacon Gouda and egg sandwich on artisan bread is one of their strongest. The ciabatta roll feels hearty. The bacon has a smokier edge. And paired with a hot coffee, the whole meal comes off cleaner, fresher, and more polished than a greasy croissant or a limp muffin. The stores themselves often feel calmer and brighter with staff trained to be friendly and attentive. For many, that alone lifts the morning mood. But we have our own reasons for keeping Starbucks in the middle. First and loudest is the price. One small sandwich here can cost the same as a full combo elsewhere, and for what you get, that is hard to swallow. Second, these sandwiches are not crafted to order, they arrive frozen from a supplier and are simply reheated. The result is food that feels more like a packaged product than a freshly made meal. The timing never quite matches the promise, the bread warms unevenly. The filling tastes flat and the sandwich fades fast instead of carrying you through the morning. And portion size is another sting. Many customers finish the last bite still wishing for more. So where does that leave us? Starbucks sandwiches are not failures, they are quite decent, but overall they are more of a side act. You come here for the espresso, the latte, the caramel macchiato, rarely for the sandwich. Breakfast is not their strong field, and that is why Starbucks sits right here steady in the middle ground. 9. Wendy. If Starbucks is the elegant but overly minimal contender, the next name brings an entirely different mood. Wendy's does not whisper its way into breakfast, it kicks the door open. The Baconator became its calling card, stacked with sausage, bacon, egg, and cheese, until the wrapper barely holds together. It is bold, it is youthful, and for anyone tired of the same old McMuffin or croissant, it feels like a breath of fresh air. Wendy's also markets itself as fresher, and to its credit, the sausage carries more seasoning. The bacon can arrive with a true crisp, and the sandwiches are built larger than what you would find at McDonald's. On a good day, the first bite has real impact, but that same richness is also what drags Wendy's down. The Baconator is not just filling, it is overwhelming. Layer after layer turns heavy in the stomach, and the salt keeps stacking until the flavor dulls. It feels less like a breakfast and more like a dare. For older customers or anyone keeping an eye on diet, this is a hard sell. And beyond the Baconator, the rest of the breakfast menu struggles to stand out. A biscuit sandwich or a plain croissant feels like afterthoughts when the star is so loud. Consistency makes matters worse. Some locations deliver a hot, well-assembled sandwich, while others send out something greasy and tired. Drive-through service lags behind the industry leaders with slow lines and mixed accuracy. The promise of fast food feels shaky when the minutes drag on. So, Wendy's breakfast is not a disaster. It is ambitious, it is energetic, and it proves the brand can play in the morning space. But boldness without balance is hard to live with. One day it satisfies, the next, it disappoints. And that is why Wendy's holds steady here in the middle cart, full of sound and fury, but not quite the breakfast champion it wants to be. 8. Sonic Drive-In. Now for the middle rank, may I introduce the most unusual brand in the breakfast world, Sonic Drive-In. Unlike the others on this list, Sonic keeps the old-fashioned car hop style alive. You pull and press a button and the order comes straight to your car window. No rushing inside, no standing in line, just a retro kind of convenience that makes it stand apart. For folks who enjoy a bit of fun with their food, Sonic feels like a small throwback to another time. Beyond the style, Sonic does offer a few practical strengths. Breakfast is served all day, which means you can grab a sausage toaster or a burrito at any hour. That flexibility makes it useful for shift workers or anyone with unusual schedules. The prices are also easier on the pocket. With app discounts and happy hour style deals, Sonic often gives more food for less money compared to Starbucks or McDonald's. For customers watching every dollar, it can feel like a friendly option. In that sense, Sonic still has a place. But if you want a complete and memorable sandwich, this is not the right stop. Sonic's breakfast stumbles in ways that cannot be ignored. The food is among the heaviest and saltiest in the industry. A single burrito or loaded sandwich can push sodium close to a full day's limit, and that is no small concern for older customers with blood pressure or heart worries. The ingredients themselves tell the same story: eggs that taste thin and over-processed Texas toast that turns soggy the moment it sits in the wrapper, and croissant buns that fold under grease. Instead of leaving you with flavor, the meal often leaves you with fatigue. So here is the sting. Sonic is a place worth visiting if you want something quirky, different, and still affordable. It will scratch a craving, and the retro delivery style adds charm. But if you care about steady quality, real flavor, and your own health, this is a stop best left behind. Better to save your morning appetite for another place, perhaps the next brand. 7. Subway. Subway is the kind of place you pass every day. Gas stations, shopping strips, small town corners, you can't miss that green sign. And for a lot of folks, the thought is simple. I need something quick, not too heavy, and Subway will do. That sense of familiarity is part of its pull. You walk in, point at the bread, pick a few toppings, and in no time you're holding breakfast on the go. To be fair, Subway gives you options most chains don't. Want to keep it light? Go with egg whites, spinach, and wheat bread. Want to indulge bacon, cheese, and sauce? Are right there waiting. That freedom makes it feel a little more personal, like you have a say in your morning. And the price is not bad at all, especially with the coupons and 2-for-1 deals they're always pushing. For many towns where choices are slim, Subway can feel like a lifeline. But here's the catch. What you see on the menu doesn't always match what you get. The eggs often taste like they came straight from a box, the bread can turn chewy instead of fresh. And the quality depends heavily on who's behind the counter. Some employees pile on the toppings with care while others barely glance at your order. And let's be honest, Subway has never really been a breakfast brand. It feels more like a lunch shop dabbling in the morning rush. At the end of the day, Subway breakfast is quick, it's portable, and usually easy on the stomach. But unless you're a loyal fan or know the insider tricks, it's like opening a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. And that is why this active player stays put right here in the middle cart. Panera bread. Walking into Panera feels different. The lights are softer, the air smells faintly of fresh bread, and the crowd is calmer than a busy drive-through line. It is not the usual rush of fast food, and for breakfast, that difference matters. Panera presents itself as a gentler, healthier way to start the day, and at first glance, it delivers on that promise. The strengths are clear. Panera's breakfast menu leans on ingredients that sound fresher and more thoughtful than the competition. Sandwiches with avocado, spinach, or egg whites feel designed for people who want balance, not just speed. The bread, whether ciabatta, whole grain, or sourdough, adds texture that a standard English muffin can't match. And when paired with a quiet cafe setting and staff trained to move at a steadier pace, the whole experience feels more personal. For older customers especially, the slower rhythm can be a relief. But the shine doesn't always last. Panera's prices run high. One sandwich here can cost double what you would pay at Burger King or McDonald's. That might feel fair if the portions were hearty, but they often are not. A small egg white sandwich might look beautiful, but it rarely fills you up. Then there is the question of speed. At busy hours, Panera's lines stretch longer than rivals, and the fast food fades. Consistency is also uneven. In some cafes, the bread is crisp, the vegetables fresh, the eggs warm. In others, the bread feels dry, the toppings look tired, and the sandwich lands flat. Panera breakfast has charm, no doubt. It feels calmer, cleaner, and lighter than much of the field, but calm does not always mean complete. 5. Tim Hortons. Tim Hortons sits at the very top of the middle cart. This brand carries a kind of warmth that others can't match. It has history, it has heart, and it has built a morning culture of its own. Walk into a Tim Hortons, and the smell of brewed coffee, baked goods, and warm sandwiches blends together into something home-like. For countless families, that's not just breakfast, it's tradition. The strengths shine clearly. Tim Hortons keeps its prices fair, often lower than Starbucks or Panera, and the value stretches further. Its sandwiches, while simple, come with sides of muffins or Timbits that round out the meal. Portions are steady, and the menu feels balanced. There is always something for both the light eater and the hearty appetite. The customer service, especially in smaller towns, carries a personal touch. Staff remember names, recognize regulars, and that kind of familiarity builds trust. Compared with the rushed chaos at McDonald's or the greasy excess at Burger King, Tim Hortons feels steady, grounded, and neighborly. Yet, for all that warmth, it still falls short of greatness. The bread can be dry, the eggs lack spark, and the sandwiches rarely surprise. Consistency across U.S. stores is also a challenge. What feels rich and fresh in one location might taste flat in another. And while the brand dominates in Canada, its American outlets sometimes feel like a faded echo, struggling to keep the same identity alive. So yes, Tim Hortons deserves to sit at the top of this shelf. It is friendly, dependable, and wrapped in tradition. But when the sandwich itself fails to rise above good enough, it cannot quite escape the middle cart. We've climbed past the shaky, the sloppy, and even the steady but forgettable. Now it is time to meet the stars. These are the sandwiches that rise above the pack, the ones made with care, served with pride, and remembered long after the last bite. They may cost a little more, they may take a little longer, but they give back in flavor, trust, and satisfaction. This is the top shelf, the terrific sandwiches. And here we will find the rare few that truly deserve your morning. Einstein Bros Bagels. The first star in our terrific shelf is Einstein Bros Bagels. While most fast food chains lean on grease and speed, Einstein takes another path, freshly baked bagels warm from the oven stacked into breakfast sandwiches that feel closer to a cafe than a drive-thru. What makes Einstein shine is the sense of variety. You're not limited to a muffin or biscuit here. There are bagels of every kind, sesame, Asiago, everything cinnamon raisin, and each one changes the character of the sandwich. A bacon, egg, and cheese on Asiago brings a sharp, savory kick. A ham and egg on a cinnamon raisin turns into something playful, sweet, and salty. That freedom to mix and match is rare, and it makes breakfast feel personal. Beyond taste, there is texture. A bagel has weight, it has chew, and it holds the fillings together in a way that flimsy biscuits never could. Paired with eggs, cooked fresh cheese that actually melts, and meat that tastes balanced instead of overwhelming the whole meal, feels crafted with more care. Of course, Einstein is slower than the big drive-thru giants and prices run higher too. But here, the extra minutes and dollars buy you something different, food that feels made for you, not rushed for the next car in line. That is what earns Einstein its star. It takes the simple idea of a breakfast sandwich and elevates it with choice, freshness, and heart. And in a world of sameness, that kind of variety makes all the difference. 3. Chick-fil-A. Some breakfasts feel rushed, like a task to check off. But at Chick-fil-A, breakfast often feels like a pause, a moment of comfort before the day begins. From the way staff greet you to the care put into the food, it carries a sense of hospitality that most chains can't match. The chicken biscuit leads the way. Golden on the outside, tender on the inside, the chicken strikes the balance between crisp and juicy. Wrapped in a soft, buttery biscuit, it is a sandwich that feels both hearty and familiar, almost like something from a kitchen back home. For those who prefer lighter fare, the egg white grill offers a thoughtful option, proving Chick-fil-A knows how to welcome different appetites without sacrificing flavor. What makes Chick-fil-A stand out is not just the taste, but the atmosphere it creates. The restaurants are bright, clean, and steady, and the staff consistently attentive. It is the little details, orders, double-checked trays, handed with a smile that lift the whole experience above the ordinary. That mix of warmth and quality is why so many return. It is not the cheapest or the flashiest, but Chick-fil-A breakfast delivers something more lasting, a sense of calm, a sense of being cared for. And that feeling is why its sandwiches belong at the very top. 2. Culver's. The second best name comes from the Midwest Culver's. While many chains chase speed, Culver's built its reputation on patience and care. That spirit carries into its breakfast sandwiches, turning a quick meal into something that feels closer to diner comfort food. Culver's doesn't try to dazzle with gimmicks. Instead, it leans on what makes a sandwich satisfying: fresh eggs cracked on the grilled cheese that melts naturally, and buns or sourdough bread that tastes like they came from a bakery, not a freezer. Add in sausage or bacon that is cooked with balance, not drowned in grease, and the result is a sandwich that feels both hearty and gentle on the stomach. What sets Culver's apart is the rhythm. Orders take longer, yes, but the wait brings quality. The staff move at a steadier pace, and the food reflects it: hot, consistent, and made with care. It may not carry the big-name recognition of McDonald's or Starbucks, but for those who know it, Culver's has the feel of a trusted local spot, even when it's a chain. In a crowded field of fast and forgettable, Culver's stands out by keeping things simple, honest, and satisfying. It may not be flashy, but it proves that a sandwich doesn't need tricks to be terrific. It just needs to be made right. And that is why Culver's earns its place among the best. 1. Whataburger. And now the brightest star of them all, the sandwich that has turned mornings into memories across the South: Whataburger. This chain is more than a drive-thru. For many, it's a ritual, a tradition, even a point of pride. And nowhere is that clearer than in its breakfast lineup. The breakfast on a bun is simple yet powerful. A fresh egg, cheese, and your choice of bacon or sausage tucked into a soft bun that feels honest and unpretentious. It is the kind of sandwich that steadies your morning no matter how the day ahead looks. But the true legend is the honey butter chicken biscuit. A tender piece of fried chicken, golden and warm, draped in sweet honey butter. Its indulgence and comfort bound together in a single bite. People don't just eat it, they celebrate it. Fans set alarms just to catch it before the clock strikes 11. Whataburger's greatness is not just in flavor, but in feeling. Every sandwich feels generous, built with pride, and served hot enough to cut through the groggiest dawn. It is food that sticks with you not only in the stomach, but in the heart. This is why Whataburger wears the crown. Among all the quick breakfasts we've traveled through, only here do you find a sandwich that is both a meal and a memory. Epic in taste, epic in spirit, this is breakfast at its very best. We've seen the highs and lows, the letdowns and the legends. Some sandwiches barely filled the role, while others reminded us how good a simple meal can be. Along the way, one truth stood out: breakfast shapes the way the whole day feels. It is the first comfort after waking, the quick bite before meeting, the small joy when time is short. And when that moment is done right, when the sandwich is warm, balanced, and made with care, it leaves more than just flavor. It leaves calm energy and a touch of happiness that lingers. So whether your favorite sits in the middle or stands tall at the top, the choice is yours to claim. Because the real crown of breakfast isn't about names or rankings. It's about finding the sandwich that makes your morning feel whole. That, in the end, is the one that truly matters.
This video does not promote division within the United States or encourage segregation. All content is presented for the purpose of exploration, analysis, and fostering discussion based on current events, public sentiment, and social trends. We fully respect the United States Constitution and all federal regulations. If today analysis made you think, drop a comment so we can keep the conversations going. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you will never miss our next independent deep dive.